I came from a country where we have been under a dictatorship for longer than 25 years. And as soon as I came to this country, I realized how many opportunities it really gives you. You know, how many opportunities it really provides you if you are willing to do the work. Hello, and welcome to Venice Commercial Services. I'm Luis,
And I'm Mark.
and here we are to talk about business, talk about the industry, and help those homeowners to figure out the proper way to do stuff. And that's what it is about, about finding the way to add value to anybody who could be either a customer or that people just wanted to learn, people that is coming into the business, people that is coming into the industry, and they are looking forward to learn from people that is already doing it. That's what it is about being able to share the much or not too much knowledge that we have acquired, on this path, and just be able to provide to the community, right? And
Yeah.
establish a community where we just look to improve the ethics of the
Uh,
work.
I think it would be great just to lay out who is Lewis and how did Venice Commercial Services get started and how far you've come.
All right. Oh, I appreciate the introduction. So, yeah, definitely Venice Commercial Services is a project that built from a dream, or starting with a dream. Uh, Pretty much the American dream, right? Of course, I'm an immigrant from South America, and we always were sold that American dream. And I still believe in it, because I came from a country where we have been under a dictatorship for longer than 25 years. And as soon as I came to this country, I realized how many opportunities it really gives you, how many opportunities it really provides you if you are willing to do the work, because that's what it is about. You got to work hard.
Yeah.
Nobody else is going to do it for you, right?
Right.
So when I came here, started doing any kind of construction work that I could deal with, and eventually that same path took me to the concrete world, where we kept learning and growing and understanding and building a system. And then I understood how it worked with the licenses and the permits and the different rules and inspection and proper ways to do stuff. That's when we got our my license, my contractor license. I remember walking the streets on the city, just handing pamphlets or advertisement of the company, hanging it on the door on every single broken driveway that I would see, up to where we got enough money to start advertising online. And from that point, that's most of our work source. Beside referrals, you know, our trucks, the people is watching our trucks driving all around the town. It has our phone number, advertisement. So man, that's what it is. Venice. It's a big dream. It has been 10 years already, but it feels like we're only starting. And
That's right. This is like a 10-year anniversary thing that
it
we're kicking
is.
this off with, so that's pretty cool.
It is.
Yeah, so I mean, you've basically done double the work because you're not only applying the knowledge you do have, but you're learning so much more at the same time
Oh
as
yeah.
you're providing for your family and everything else. It's
Yeah.
yeah, so I mean that's double the work. That's overtime. You're working into the wee hours of the night, so that's pretty cool.
Yes.
So what does Venice Commercial Services do today? What services do we provide?
Right. So we are general contractors. We specialize on flat work and pretty much shell construction, meaning concrete or foundation, walls, and roofing, but not limited and including driveways, patios, sidewalks, parking lots, concrete curbs, you name it, permeable pavers, demolition. Oh my God, it's so many stuff we have done. Um, but even where we are general contractors, we specialize on these kind of materials: concrete blocks and roofing, any kind of roofing, shingles, tiles, metal, whatever it is. But everything that have to do with um, parking lot modifications, concrete curbs, flat concrete, machines, demolition, grading, and pouring concrete, that's what we do.
So we've talked about what we do today.
Right.
What can we expect to see from Venice Commercial Services in the next couple of years?
Definitely. We love to do residential work. We love our residential customers, the homeowners. We love to
Definitely.
provide value to their life. We love to improve their life and see their faces when we do a new patio, a new driveway. We love that reaction, solving those issues and just making people's life better. But we definitely want to start getting a bit more involved on the commercial area. All right. We're looking to get in touch with those contractors that are looking for subs
Hmm.
that will take care of their reputation if it was their own.
Well,
Eh,
to be fair, this is Treasure Coast, and there's
yeah,
not a lot of big established construction companies locally that
yeah.
would need somebody local to take care of some of that contract work.
Well, and that's exactly what we're trying to do, right? To establish ourselves as
Hmm.
the company to go on the
Yep.
Treasure Coast.
Yep.
And to give you an example, sometimes we go or we are part of a residential new building, new development, right? Where we're doing a small piece of a sidewalk or we're doing foundations or footings for the electrical poles.
Hmm.
And sure enough, you have companies from Miami, from Orlando
Yep.
doing more concrete work. So
Okay.
that's when we say, that's what we want
Yep.
because here we are. So
Yeah.
there's no reason why somebody from far away would be doing that work if we
Hmm.
are here to do it. So we're looking to expand into the commercial area. We're looking to expand a lot, much more into the building up. All right.
Right.
So foundations, blocks, and roof. That's what we're gonna be getting into. Custom houses, detached garage, storage garage, commercial buildings.
Right.
That's what we're gonna get into. Man, I mean, what I would say to anybody who's trying to get into any business is to do the work. You know what? Do the work. Stand up, get up
Yeah.
early, go go bed late at night.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to do the 12 hours days, the 15 hours days, the 16 hours day. There's no other way around.
Hmm.
There's no magic solution. There's no magic formula. Get the work done. Get the right mindset, and keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing.
Well, I think, like you were saying, you already had a little bit of hands-on experience growing up
Yeah.
with construction, so that would be the first thing to do is like just get a grasp of the work and how it feels and the time-consuming parts of and the labor-intensive side of it, and then obviously do the homework and read up and do your studying and understand as much as you can, and then see where it takes you. As far as concrete work goes, homeowners need to pay attention to the water. All right, water coming off of your roof and running down your property. Because typically your property's built up and the water sheds away. Okay, if you have loose dirt or if you have rain gutters that are funneling water all into one place, if you're not paying attention to where that water is hitting and impacting the ground around your foundation, you're going to wreck your concrete. So I would say direct water away from your house, pipe it out, get it away from the foundation of your house, away from the driveway. Anything you can do to mitigate water is going to save you a lot of money and a lot of stress in the future when it comes to your concrete.
I will also add that it's hard, right? Because we are on nobody pockets, right? But I feel some people needs to stop doing patchworks, all right?
Yes, yes.
Because sometimes homeowners they may have a problem on their driveway, on their patio. Maybe, for example, right here at the city of Port St. Lucie, very
Mm-hmm.
common. Your culvert pipe is rusted, so it's failing. It caved in. So instead of getting that replaced, people would try to find a patch, a solution that is going to be a band-aid. That of course, is going to be much cheaper, but
Mm-hmm.
on the long run, it's actually going to cost you more because
Mm-hmm.
then you are paying for that repair,
Yeah.
and pretty soon you're going to have to pay for the whole stuff.
If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. So if somebody's trying to sell you their patchwork and they're like, "Oh, this is an easy fix, it'll cost nothing," it's probably too good to be true. And you're going to have worse long-term problems down the road if you're trying to do small patchwork and you're trying to just make small corrections to a big problem, you're going to have worse trouble down the road. It's going to be even more expensive to fix.
Well,
So,
and that's a very important
yeah.
part because sometimes people will get this kind of patchwork
Mm-hmm.
not only because maybe they're trying to find a cheaper solution,
Mm-hmm.
but also because they don't have the right information.
Mm-hmm.
and then they get somebody checking on the jobs that won't give them the information.
Yeah.
So at that point, you, Mark, you are on the field every day.
Yeah.
You are dealing with so many different homeowners,
Hmm.
those that hire our services and those that don't, but at least we go and we check on their jobs.
Yeah.
So, what is a feedback? What do you hear from people? What is their main issue? And why they love you as they do? What is what you do that is different from any other people that check on those jobs?
I generally do on a day-to-day basis what we're trying to do here. I try to feed them information and answer all the questions they could possibly have that they don't even know that they have, and make sure that they have a full understanding of what could be causing problems to their concrete. Um, Another red flag I tell people is if somebody's coming to you and they're trying to sell you work, but they ask you to pull the permit, that means they're not licensed. And if they're not licensed, that means they're not required to be bonded, which is a major red flag, which means they're not responsible for any of the work that they do when it fails in the future. So make sure you have a licensed contractor doing the work, especially if it's costing you a lot of money. You want to make sure that they are responsible for that work. If they fail in doing the work properly, they're going to be held accountable for that work.
And we have seen some major mess ups.
We've seen some crazy stuff. Yes, yes. We've been called in to do work, to redo work that someone else has done in the past. So
And it's even worse.
it's, yeah.
Try to fix somebody
Well,
else
and they're
mistaken.
paying twice. So you're paying once for the cheap work, and then you have to call in someone else to do it the right way. So save yourself the money, take your time, find the right people, get as many quotes as you need to. I always tell people we're not necessarily going to be the cheapest quote, but the work's going to get done right the first time, and that's how critical is that when it comes to something as important as your driveway. The only way you have to get past that culvert full of water to your house. You want it done right, and you want it stable, you want it reliable, and you want somebody that's going to answer the phone if you have questions about it.
Yeah. And that's also a big advice for that people that is trying to, oh, that's my baby right there. For, that people that is trying to get on the business
Yeah.
is to face up the problems,
Yes.
because the problems will show up. There's no way to avoid it.
Yeah.
There's always something that is going to go different from the way you plan it.
Mm-hmm.
But when that happens, you face it up. You don't turn off your phone and look the other way.
Yeah.
You go straight to the problem, because that's the easiest and fastest way to get it solved.
Yeah.
No matter how
Yeah.
ugly it is.
Answer the phone.
Yeah.
Answer the questions. Be there for the customer whenever they call and they have concerns. And like you said, there's so many factors that you may not have accounted for that may interrupt the work. And it could be anything from there's something under the dirt that you didn't expect to find, to the weather turning on you at the worst possible moment, to somebody driving on your driveway the day after it was poured. That's happened. So
Yeah.
there's
Or
some
the
crazy stuff
dogs
that could
or the
happen.
animals.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many things that could happen that could go wrong, and if you can head up the problem, if you see the problem first, get to the customer and talk to them about it.
Yeah, of course.
Talk to them about it first, then they know you're on it and you're paying attention. If they have to chase you down because they find the problem and you've already seen it,
And that's the way you build a reputation.
you build trust.
And not only that, it will cost you less to solve the problem right ahead
Immediately, yes,
versus leaving it go and then coming back to you later on.
that's right.
What's some of the most challenging things in this line of business?
The YouTube experts. So, no offense to YouTube, because that's where this is going to be, but a lot of people will get gimmicky, 15-second reel information or something that they Google searched, and every area is different. Concrete's different in New York than it is in Florida. We have a lot of New Yorkers in Florida. Nothing against them, but concrete is laid differently there because everything's built on a rock. Here in Florida, you're built on mud and sand. So everything is built up and everything sinks. So you have different expectations. You have different concrete mixes. You have different subgrading going on. So everything's a little bit different. So you can't expect something you find necessarily on Google to be the right answer for what we have, the conditions that we have here.
Yeah, and it's like that for a lot of stuff. Like we were talking about this yesterday, that the theory is not necessarily the same as the practice, right?
Right.
So when we come to the practice, we got to be sure that everything is being done in the proper way, right? But based on that question, I would say some of the challenges on this business is to put all the pieces together, because there's so many different things that we have to manage, right? And this goes from managing the leads coming in, the quotes that we're sending, how many estimates we're sending a week, how many we're closing. Once it's closed, permit, documents requires, deposit, materials availability, getting the right suppliers, getting the right labor, train and teach to your team so they will know how to do the stuff. They will understand what the main goal is, all right? So you got to be sure that you get the work done on a professional manner, right?
Right.
So putting all of that pieces together, I think some people struggle because some people have the talent, but maybe they don't have the access to the leads. Some other people get so many leads and then they don't really have the way to face up that amount of work, and then they die trying. So I guess it's that balance, right?
There's definitely a balance.
Where you put all the pieces together and you get able to build a system where you maintain a constant and fast growth on the company.
There's constant adjustments along
yeah.
the way.
Yeah.
So, and you got it, like you said, you're finding that balance, and obviously you can tell from our roles that we play, where I'm dealing with a lot of the customers on the ground, face to face, when we're getting the work done, and he's taking care of the broader scope of finding that balance, with the
Yeah.
budget and timing and scheduling and everything else. Yeah, of course. So,
Adjustment to the chains, because, oh my God, how we know it.
yeah,
Fast chains, just like
you
this.
have to adjust quick and on your feet.
Exactly.
You have to move. Yeah, you
Take
can't
fast decisions.
you can't
And
stop and argue and bicker and we like to joke, and I'm sure at some point we'll have city workers on here too, maybe an inspector or something like that, but so I don't want to talk bad about them, but it's funny, there's always jokes about seeing 15 city workers standing around while one guy's in a hole digging, like, so you can't stand around a problem and go and discuss it, because that time is money, that time is critical. You got to keep moving, you've got to find a solution, apply it. If it's the wrong solution, you correct it again and you move along, but you can't just sit there and and haw about it.
well, and that's a very good tip as well.
Yeah.
When you have a problem, focus on the solutions more than on the problem,
Yes.
because you could spend all day long focusing on that problem. But if you focus on the solution, you could get it solved and keep moving forward.
How important is leadership in this role?
Well, it's everything, because believe me, I have learned some good lessons on the hard way. But it's good because those lessons that you learn the hard way, those are the ones that stick the fastest and you learn the fastest. But we have been
Leadership's-
working,
Yeah,
on
leadership's
building.
great in that when you can get more people stepping up and showing those leadership traits, like
Yeah.
we're working on that with some guys now, and
Exactly.
trying to groom them into leadership positions. And you want there to be, you want your team to take ownership of the work, right? And so everybody should have some degree of leadership mentality when it comes to getting the work done. Not so much that you have a bunch of chiefs, right, and they're all arguing over how the work gets done. You got to try to standardize things, but procedurally, as far as the process goes, somebody needs to be there to answer
Responsible.
for the work that's being done. And I don't need to call 15 people to try to figure out what's going on the job site. I have one guy that I'm calling. He's taking charge. He's the one answering the questions. And ultimately, if there's a problem, he's the one that takes the blame for it, But,
And that's what it is. And if you put all the dots together, all of what we're talking, it just comes together at some point. Because like we were saying, between Mark and me, we have been the leaders of the companies for a long time. but there's so much we could do as we keep growing, because then our time is required on different activities.
Yeah.
So then we got to be sure that there's new leaders on the company that will keep taking care that the work keeps being done the proper way. Somebody that will assume responsibility of why is the work being this way or the other way, and why or not the time are being
Hmm.
met
Right.
for
Right.
what is the timeline to get the work done.
And you have to give your guys those tools.
Of
So
course,
standardizing the work
training.
gives the guys the tools to understand processes, procedures, the type of material and equipment that you're using, and everything, your inventories. You want to make sure that the expectations are very clear,
Yeah,
and that helps them make sure manage the job sites.
yeah. You got to make those instructions dump proof,
Yes.
and not
Yeah.
meaning that you have somebody
Yeah.
that is dumb, but there's stuff
Yeah.
that maybe you consider obvious,
Hmm.
and they're not obvious for everybody.
Correct.
So you got to make your instructions clear enough for somebody that is new and has never been on the company
Hmm.
to just read at it and at least get a
Hmm.
sense of what we're doing, right? Because
Well,
again,
it's like anybody
practice is
that's done
different.
sports
Oh
or
yeah,
in the military we had the same thing, and you there's certain things, certain actions that you do so often that it becomes muscle memory, right? So it's like a mental muscle memory. We want our guys having the experience and the knowledge that everything you do a thing a certain way so many times that it just becomes habitual. That's automatic. It's a checklist in their mind. This is done now. This now this now this, and obviously there's going to be other aspects of the job site where you have to have that flexibility. You have to be able to adjust. Like, man, this problem came up and I need to adjust and I need to make these corrections. But for the process, it stays the same generally speaking every time.
What were some things in your background of being an ex-military that has helped you succeed in this line of business?
Um, I would say leadership and execution. So um, I like um, not being afraid to intervene, and I'm not afraid of hurting feelings. So when I approach one of my guys about a problem that needs to be resolved, I'm in his face, not you know abusively or anything like that, but I'm there saying, what is the problem? How do we fix it? And I'm trying to get their thought processes on resolution, because it happens when a problem comes up or something breaks. There's a little bit of moment of panic there, and you got to get them out of that. You got to work them through that so that they can get through to the solution and fix the problem. And so if I can get in there and get those wheels turning, or I can find the solution and got to get the projects rolling. You got to keep it moving. And so that's on the leadership side. And I like educating. I love seeing, the guys starting to understand, and new guys coming in and they're starting to learn the process, and you see the comprehension coming in and they're starting to do things the way that we do them. And but then as far as the execution goes, it's I like showing up to a job site and parking where they can't see me necessarily, and I can see they're just getting things done because I've spent enough time with them on the ground and showing them that I'm willing to get in the mud with them, even though my doctor wouldn't approve necessarily of some of the things I do on the job sites. But I'm not afraid to get in there and get dirty and get hurt with them. So I'm gonna get in there. I'm gonna do the work. They respect me for that, and they know that while there's certain circumstances where it's okay. Obviously, you need to take a lunch break. You got to use the bathroom. There's certain things you got to do. But man, I don't want guys laying around in the shade on somebody's front yard. I don't want homeowners calling me saying they're arguing, or So there's certain expectations that we've set, and they execute the work in such a way that we get those phone calls. We've shared voicemails with people that we've gotten from customers that are like, these guys are incredible. They just show up, they get the work done, they don't stop, they don't slow down,
yeah.
and that's
And
what we love to see.
and that's also a type of leadership that it works better than some others, because there's some people that want to be leaders by imposition, just by saying, hey, here I am. But the kind of leadership that we have done and we have built is leadership by the example.
Mm-hmm.
So when we tell the guys, this needs to be done this way is because we have done it.
Right.
When we say you need to use this tool this way, is because we have used it and we know how hard and difficult it is to do it.
Right.
Right. So I think that brings a value to our perspective of the stuff because we know how hard it is. And like we tell the guys, unfortunately, on this business, we are the unseen heroes. We are the unrecognized heroes. We always talk about this because we may not get the recognition we deserve, but if it wouldn't be for construction workers, there would be pretty much nothing. No roads, no buildings, no sidewalks, no anything.
Right.
So, and at our point where we're doing residential jobs, even if we're doing a driveway, think about the effect that it has on somebody's life.
Right.
That piece of concrete is gonna be there for 20 plus years, even a patio. So we are being part of more than just pouring a concrete slab. We are being part of creating memories, emotions. We are being part of improving somebody's life. So
Creating those functional living spaces, work
and improving
spaces.
people's life.
Of course.
And we gotta take pride of that because that also gives us a purpose
Exactly.
to keep doing what we're doing every single day.
Right.
Why do you think that Venice is one of the highest rated construction companies in the whole Treasure Coast?
I think first and foremost it's communication. I think that's probably the biggest piece of feedback that I've gotten as a whole. When everything's wrapped up and everything's done, talking to a customer and they say, I've never hired a contractor that picks up the phone every time I call. I have never hired a contractor that answers my questions when I have them, that calls me back as soon as they get a chance. It's wild. I understand. There's still the influx going on. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of growing happening in Florida still. So it's contractors are busy, generally speaking. So I know it gets tough, but that doesn't really give you the excuse. If you're in a position as a contractor where you're not able to answer your phone, that means I think you're struggling to delegate responsibility to give yourself the space you need to answer those phone calls and be there for the person that hired you. So either you're delegating that responsibility or you're doing that yourself, but somebody needs to be in constant communication with the customers that are paying you to get work done. And I think that's the biggest one I've got.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely communication, service, and of course, the great product we deliver, right? But focusing on customer satisfaction has been the key to put us on where we are and to get the reputation that we have got so far. Have clear expectations as far as of what the scope of work, what to expect, and what not, what is included and what not, right? And we have a motto that is that we will always do what we promise, sometimes more, but never less.
Right.
And when I say sometimes, it's because, we don't care going an extra mile, right? But expectations gotta be real, correct? So that's all. That's why we always keep people updated as far as every stage of the project. What we're doing today, what's the next step, what's gonna happen tomorrow, when we're gonna be done, when to drive on the new concrete, what to wait, how long to wait, every single step, and just being sure that people is happy with the final product that they're receiving. Because we put ourselves on our customers' shoes. And we know what it is to hire a company to work on your property. You want they to respect your property, to treat it well, and just to be professional around your house.
Because believe it or not, we're homeowners too. So, it's easy for us to understand. If I hire somebody to work on my home, I want them to understand I've got family, I've got dogs, I've got kids, a wife, and I want them to feel respected and safe. I don't want my neighbors looking and going, what kind of chaos is happening over there?
Yeah.
There is a degree of expectation that we try to communicate to customers. That it gets messy at the beginning when you're ripping out concrete, you're ripping out the olds, whatever was there before the new comes in, it does get messy, and that's usually the most stressful time for the homeowners is when they see the dirt everywhere and they're like, oh my gosh, what is happening.
It's a
like,
construction project.
yep, it's a construction project. Yeah, it's gonna get better. It only gets better from there. So we try to leave a finished product, of course. We don't, and we get a lot of questions early on where people ask, what about the cleanup? Do I have to hire somebody else for that? Or no, we're giving you something that's done. It's complete. The concrete is done. The forms are pulled. The control joints are cut. You don't have to hire somebody to come cut the concrete afterwards.
Of course.
It's we schedule all the inspections with the city. You don't have to do any of that. The most work outside of the contract for the customer, for the homeowner, is obviously the contract, but maybe an NOC, like a notice of commencement. But that's it. That's just a signature, a notary.
Yeah.
And outside of that, it's try to stay on schedule with your payments. But
Something we have learned about the way is how expensive is to go back to a job site to fix something.
yeah,
So, over the years, we have focused on getting it done right at once. Because every time we got to go back, we're just losing money.
of course, time is money.
So we get it done right at once. Not because we don't want to see the customers again,
Yeah, right.
at least not for the same project.
Exactly.
But we love when we do a patio and the next year people is calling us for their driveway or the other way.
Yeah.
Or 2 years after we did a job, somebody will call us and saying, hey, my neighbor, oh my God, he's so happy with the work you did 2-3 years ago and they recommend me to us.
Yeah.
It really feels.
And that's kind of like a thing that generally happens is we'll do, you'll have a busy residential area and we'll start a project on one home, and then throughout the process we're getting multiple phone calls from other homes on that same street for generally the same work, is because they see us getting it done, they see us doing it in a very timely manner, because you want to minimize the amount of time somebody's left without a driveway with a mess in their front yard, of course. So we try to get it done, inside of that calendar week, from prep to pour to clean up everything. And people are just blown away because they'll see other companies come in and to do a driveway. And
Taking 2 weeks or so.
more. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Sometimes you'll see the concrete piled up in the front yard for months because they just don't have the equipment. They're renting stuff to try to pull all this stuff out, and it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So they're impressed with it, and they like and we leave our sign out there, of course.
And those are kind of the questions that we ask ourselves,
Yeah.
Along the way. How could we be better? How could we do it faster? How could we do it better? What we need for that. And that's how we have been building, the machines, the trailers, and pretty much all the tools and proper workmanship to get this kind of work done.
Well, there's certain quality aspects to our work that are reasons why, like I mentioned earlier, that we may not be the cheapest quote, and that's because we're getting that work done in a timely manner. We are handling A to Z everything, so you're not having to hire other people to come in and clean up after us.
How important it is as a business owner for like you as a contractor to take a step back from the job site and like remove yourself almost from the job site to allow your business to grow, so you can give yourself time to really scale the business or grow it to another level.
Well, you won't be able to grow the business if you don't step back. And I would say actually step up,
Yeah.
But to step up, you need people that will help you to keep feeling those responsibilities and those tasks that you were doing at that point.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing now. That's what we have been doing. And honestly, man, I'm so proud and so happy looking back, because since we started this company 10 years ago, it just has been a constant growth, man, year after year. And we're just getting started,
Yeah.
So that's the exciting part about it. We're just still a small company looking to keep growing and growing and growing. But if you don't have a team of people to help you, you won't be able to grow, because you can't do it all. You just can't. You need help.
And that goes back to the leadership stuff. If you're not finding the most valuable people in your company and your teams and investing in them, your time, your knowledge, your expertise, and paying them what their value is, then they're going to be gone. They're going to find the next best opportunity and they're going to be gone. But if you build that relationship of trust with them and you make them feel invested in your company as well, then they're going to be more than willing and happy to grow along with you. And that's when you can give them more responsibility, because you trust them more with the responsibility, but then they trust you as well to take care of them as an employee.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is, because we treat our guys like family, and we feel the responsibility because they put their trust on us to give them work, a steady source of work.
Correct.
And believe me, there's times where we're just looking to keep everybody fed, keep everybody working, keep everybody busy. So it's building that kind of team, building that kind of family, is definitely key.
Right.
It's definitely key, because once you take care of the people that work around you, they will take care of you as well.
Right.
Amazing. And to wrap this message up for the people, what was one last message you'll say to them to wrap up this video?
Look for more.
Yeah.
We got some good stuff coming. We're going to have fun with this, So we're going to have some very serious, down-to-earth conversations like we had today, but we're going to have some interview style, where we're bringing guests and we have some good discussions with them. But then I think we're going to have, I don't know how we'll schedule it out, but we're going to have some fun with it, and that, some laid-back times, maybe weekend, where we're just having some outside of work discussions, maybe with a glass of scotch or something like that, and just kind of relax and... Yeah.
Let's just enjoy the path. Let's enjoy the ride. Man, life is hard enough already with so many situations we have to deal with. So let's make our work fun. Let's make this a nice ambient, and let's share our learnings. Let's don't ever stop learning. Don't ever stop learning. That's the key. And stay tuned.
I think I want to share the word legacy real quick. All right. So your legacy is not in your dollar, right? It's not just in the amount of money that you've made. We want to leave a legacy of commitment, of relationship building, and everything like that. So we're bringing this information to you so that we are increasing our value to the consumer, but it's more informational. We're giving you as much as we possibly can as being hired by you, the consumer, but also just to build relationship with the community.
Yeah, and I think
this is our home.
Part of that is just help the younger generations. To actually being able to build something for their own. Because on these times, I think we struggle a lot. Here's the new generation coming in here. Ven, mami, ven. Ven. So, this is why.
Right, that's your why.
This is why we're doing what we do.
Yeah. We won't be around forever, but it's going to be their world to take over next.
Yeah, this is why we work hard, and this is why we want to teach you guys how to be able to provide to your family.